Hey guys, how's it going? Late night start, sorry about that. This build's for Cameron. He wanted a badass white build, and that's what we're building for him tonight. So, I know it's already late, so I'm probably just gonna get moving on the build here. But overall, we're just gonna run through some of the parts real quick. We're gonna be building with the Ryzen 5 5600X by AMD. Beautiful 6-core, 12-thread processor. That's going to be paired with the GeForce Delta white addressable RGB, which is 3200 megahertz. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, 3200 megahertz, 32 gigabytes, 2 sticks of 16. Then we have the Western Digital Black SN770 that we're going to be using. This is a Gen 4 drive, PCIe Gen 4. Got some white cables to match the theme of the build. But all of that's going to be plugged into the Asus TUF Gaming X570 Pro Wi-Fi motherboard. The white fans, they're by Deepcool. These are the FC120s. We got a total of 9 of them. Sorry, 3 for the actual cooler and 6 for the actual case. So pretty good mixture. We're going to be using the Castle 360EX on this for the AIO by Deepcool, but we're replacing those fans with the white fans. Keep the white fan theme. And then we have our RTX 3060 Ti. I did have to open this up because the package was damaged, but the card is perfectly fine. Overall, great solid build with a 1000-watt Supernova EVGA power supply, gold rated. Fully modular. We're just going to jump right into it. Late. I know, I'm sorry, Cameron, I started late today. The stream. Try to catch up on a million different things. The ladies in the background, if you hear them, they're currently playing Mario Party 7 in the background there, on the GameCube. I don't have control of it, but it's okay, I like the GameCube. This is our Asus TUF X570. Beautiful motherboard. The only complaint I have about this board is that it only has one addressable RGB header on it. I wish there was more, but it's okay. Not the end of the world. This is pretty close to the same build. Well, not really close, but same style. Almost the same build as Mern is the Word. If anybody is here that knows him. It's pretty close to the same build, except for this is white. And his has a little bit more horsepower in the CPU and a little bit more GPU horsepower with the RTX 3080. So, but overall close to it. Trying to get the glare off the board, but I guess I can't really do much there. I gotta soften up that lighting someday. So how's everybody's evening tonight? Everybody good? Anything exciting? This is our Ryzen 5 5600X. Not sure if I get it too close. May not like it. That's just going to drop here in the socket, and we're going to close the hammer on it and move on to the RAM. Again, the RAM is 32 gigabytes, GeForce Delta. Just a beautiful white color to it. So it's going to blend very well with the white build. We have 2 sticks. Each are 16 gigabytes. So we have a total of 32 gigabytes for this build. Kind of expecting it to be a quiet evening because of how late we started. I've noticed the later we start, the less interaction we get, which is fine. Honestly, here to just show Cameron his build. And if anybody joins us, that's cool. We can just chat it up a little bit. This is the Western Digital Black SN770. This is 1 terabyte PCIe Gen 4. But it's a beautiful solid state drive, NVMe, PCIe M.2. Goes into the slot right there. Then we're going to grab an M.2 screw because we put the stud on the board. And we're going to secure it to the board here. Really can't go wrong with the Western Digital Black. I'm going to take the board, now that we got the CPU, the RAM, and the SSD installed, set it aside, and we're going to get the case out and start slapping this in the case. This case is by Leon Lee. This is the 011 Dynamic. White. Now it's white, but it has a silver front, and that's because the front is metal. Front panel. And it is silver, matching the white theme, which is nice. Got a nice touch to it. Okay, we're going to pull this top panel off. And then we're going to pop the side panels off. glass panel, side panel coming off. Then the front glass panel is coming off. Then the rear side panel, or back side panel, whatever you want to call this, check them off. And then I'm going to take the dust filter off the bottom. We're going to need to remove that anyway later. And there you have it, the 011 Dynamic. This is white. Got a nice white and black look to it. So it's going to go very well with our cables that we selected, which are also cable extensions, are also white and black. So you can see here, it's got a really nice color theme going to it. Went ASUS for both the motherboard and the graphics card. Graphics card is the ASUS TUF Gaming. Motherboard is the ASUS TUF Gaming X570, this 3060 Ti. So it's going to have a really nice look to it when it's done, which I'm excited about. We're going to take these SSD trays off the bottom because we're going to be putting fans down here. You may as well just remove them immediately. Both of these trays. We're not going to be using the 2.5 trays. Plus there's more positions on the back of the case if we ever have to mount a 2.5 drive. So those are gone. They won't be used. Now I'm going to open up the back panel here, which just has this one thumb screw. Lifts off, and then you have a box which is twist tied on the back side. You can undo the twist tie or just cut it. But I'll take it apart. I got to take this panel off anyway. So these two thumb screws, top, and then this small Phillips screw down here at the bottom are the couple of screws you're going to run into to take this panel off. Hey Alex, what's up, man? How's it going? Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for the like. Hey Shift, over on Twitch. Alex is over on Facebook. Shift is over on Twitch. What's up, man? How's it going? Yes. Is this Cameron? How goes it? Well, we're building a pretty big build tonight. Trying to do it before midnight. Got a late start to the stream. I'm so excited for this. Oh, it's happening, man. It's happening. Got a late start to it, though. I'm sorry about that. I wanted to start earlier today, but had a lot of questions in regards to, hey, where's my order? Where's this? And then I had to follow up, make sure everybody had clarity. There's a lot of people that don't check their email. So, and then I had a couple of people actually not receive their orders because they weren't there when they were receiving the UPS order or the drop off. So I had to follow up with them and see if they wanted me to drop it off at it or have them drop it off at a UPS store for pickup, etc. to ensure it stays there. Logistics, man. I just had to play a little bit of catch up. Make sure everybody had clarification on everything. But it's all good now. We're all clarified. And we're building. Yes. Awesome. Yeah, I thought that was you. I was pretty sure. Yeah, this is your 011 Dynamic case. I don't know how long you've been in here, but this is the white case. So you can see, I know you told me to, hey, I ordered black, but let's get white. So I was able to get it all switched over to white. No big deal, man. Good, did the Xbox giveaway, so now it's onto a PC build. Awesome. Yeah, just let me know when you're ready. We can throw something together. prices, I mean, honestly, prices on parts have really come down, so we can really take advantage of it. So here's our X570 Ryzen 5 5600X, our 32 gigabytes, 16 gigs each, of white DDR4 3200 megahertz CL16 RAM, and our 1 terabyte right here on my thumb, our 1 terabyte M.2 NVMe Gen 4 PCIe SSD. That's a lot to say. I think they're just going to keep making it more and more difficult to describe a solid state drive. Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I didn't expect too many people on here tonight. They started pretty late. I was like, well, hopefully Cameron gets to at least open his eyes maybe when he's sleeping and just peep at it. It's starting so late. I think you're on. I think you're out right now, out of town. The only time I see you anymore. I mean, John, if you saw my schedule, I mean, I have anxiety from my own schedule. Like, thinking about it when I wake up in the morning makes me want to just curl back up into bed and forget life exists sometimes. No, I'm just kidding. I'm actually very excited to get up out of bed and work through it. Hey, Timmy Young says hi. Hey, Tim. What's up, man? How's it going? Struggling with this rear I/O. There we go. Got it snapped in. So for those of you who don't know, John and Timmy are my good buddies, local over here. I like to stop in and make fun of my nerdiness. But you're gonna catch me riding nerdy, so I'm not embarrassed. But alright, we got our board kind of positioned here, and we can screw this in. You're gonna watch me build a sexy computer, Mr. John, Timmy. I mean, you should come over and commentate on it slowly into the microphone for everybody. Maybe I'll get more viewers that way. But yeah, this is a nice build. I really like it personally. I really like the white Leon Lee 11 dynamic. It's always been a favorite of mine. The color scheme's always been very nice, very attractive. So you're gonna have a pretty awesome build, man. It is going to be perfect, because I will make it that way. We're just getting this motherboard mounted, and then we're going to move on to probably the most boring part of the stream, which is the fans, and getting the radiator mounted. I like to call that the most boring part because it's probably the most repetitive and least exciting, and I generally run out of things to talk about. So keep the comments rolling. Alright, we got our motherboard installed. Starting to look like a computer, I think, right? So let's get these bottom side fans installed, and then we'll deal with the radiator here in a second. Or do you guys want to do the radiator first? You want to get the radiator mounted? It doesn't really matter to me in what order we do it. We can do the radiator. You know what? Let's just do the radiator, get out of the way. Do it. The aisle. When I say get out of the way, it's because there's a lot of extra finicky that goes into mounting this bad boy. Come on. Okay. Goodbye, AIO box. To the recycling pile. Alright, so this is pretty much going to be mounted like this. We kind of know what direction our cables need to go for our fans. So what we're going to do is get all of our fans mounted to this AIO, and then we're going to mount the AIO radiator to the top here, and then we'll deal with the actual pump slash CPU block and mount that to the CPU. And that is kind of our process here. So we're going to open this box, which is our hardware for the AIO. It has all these lovely screws and different mounting kits for different sockets, whether it's Intel, different LGA versions of Intel, or if it's AMD, which Deepcool does a good job and labels everything AMD. And then they also label inside the package the TR4. So if you're going with a Threadripper, that would be your Threadripper kit. So what we're looking for is this little bag of screws, which has our fan screws and our radiator mounting screws. That's what we need. Long screws are for the fan, short screws is for the radiator. So we're going to go ahead and open one of our FC120 whites. This is by Deepcool. And these are nice because they have a daisy chain cable management. So you could daisy chain them. You don't have to deal with 50,000 wires on the back. Similar to the Leon Lee fans, but half the price. And I'd say they're pretty close to the same quality. And they're addressable RGB and they're PWM, so they could be ran by the motherboard. These ones on the radiator are going to be plugged directly into the CPU header for management by the CPU. So just clarifications. We're mounting it that way, the wires are going that way. I like to just double check so I'm not undoing half the work that I just did. There we go. We got them all lined up, and all we got to do is start one, and then they pretty much just fall into place after that. 4 screws to each fan. We've got rubber anti-vibration on the corners of these fans, which are nice. So if there's any vibration, the rubber kind of soaks it up. Those are built right in. You don't have to add those. Some cheaper fan manufacturers will have you actually add them, which, you know, is kind of a pain in the ass, especially if you build a lot of computers. Or if you don't build a lot of computers, you don't know about them, then you don't use them. And you could have. I think it's best just to put them on the fan. Makes it easier for everybody. So I appreciate that by Deepcool. For sure. I'd say my only complaint with these fans, which I'm probably going to do a review on here soon. I want to do a video review on these and a few other components because they're relatively new or newer. I'd say my only complaint is when I plugged it into an MSI motherboard as a system fan, like SysFan 1, 2, 3, etc. They would not be detected as PWM off the bat. You had to actually go into the BIOS and manually select PWM before they could be ran as PWM, which was kind of weird. And then But if I plugged it into the CPU header, they were automatically selected as PWM fans on the same board. So again, that was kind of weird, but I'd say that's the only quirk that I've found so far. And I don't know why that is. Don't know why that occurred. Not that big of a deal. You just go into the BIOS and set them. And I'll preset these for you, so you won't have to deal with this, Cameron. I'm just talking about the parts. With the package for these fans, they also include an extension for your daisy chain. I don't know if you saw what I did there, but I daisy chained each one, plugging one into the other. And then this master cable, which has your wire, you can also put an extension on it if you need to extend it, which I'm going to for now because it's going to be a tight hole that we're going to be shoving this through. And then you have a connection which has your PWM and your addressable RGB connection, which will go onto the motherboard connection. And then you also have SATA for power, because you're daisy chaining. If you daisy chain more than a certain amount, you're going to need a more power to that RGB because the motherboard's not going to be able to handle it. Shift X, Rect, thank you for doing this so late. Truly amazing. Hey, no problem, man. Not a problem. I'm sorry I couldn't get started earlier. Like I was saying, I was getting tied up with a bunch of stuff. It was literally like setting off a line of dominoes, stacked up in a line. Just one thing after another. I'm like, well, if I take care of this, I may as well take care of that. And then so on and so on. Then eventually I looked over and it was almost 10 o'clock and I was like, well, that's nice. So, all good. I've done builds later. But I'd rather get it done and have it ready for you because I know you're coming back soon. So I'm just standing the case up on its feet so that I can mount this this radiator to the top of the case, which is where we're mounting this bad boy. Just gonna play with the wires just a little bit, make sure they're not getting caught on anything, and then we can get to screwing this thing in, which are those little screws in that bag that I was showing you earlier. And then you want to try to center this up a little bit because you want to match the bottom fans on the case so it doesn't look off. So we're centered up pretty good here. I got one screw started, and then I'm going to start another one over here on the other end, and then it'll be able to hold itself onto the case here while I do the rest of the screws. Makes it easy. Just little tips here and there. Makes building PCs maybe enjoyable. I enjoy it. If I didn't, I wouldn't have a passion for it, and if I didn't have a passion for it, I wouldn't be doing it. But yeah, man, it's all good, man. I'm hoping you really enjoy this thing. It's gonna be a badass build when it's done. I've got a couple of ideas for some content in the future here, near future. But what if we did like a build challenge? I know Linus Tech Tips did the Scrap Wars or whatever he called it, or he did basically a budget for building a computer. They had a certain amount of budget, and then they had to put it, go find the parts, build it with the resources that they had, and then they also had to benchmark it and test it and see which one was the best performer. Seems like a fun idea. If he ever does it, I hope he finds me and invites me to his Scrap Wars if he ever does it again. I love the first one I have still, zero problem, so I couldn't Couldn't wait to get my hands on this bad boy. Oh yeah, this is going to be a little bit of an upgrade. There we go, we got our AIO installed, at least the radiator with the fans. So the next thing we're going to be doing here is getting this pump slash CPU block mounted to the actual CPU. One thing we are going to do is remove that piece of plastic, and we're going to wipe this thermal paste off because we're not going to be using it. We're going to be using the Thermal Grizzly, which my paper towels disappeared, so give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. We're going to wipe this thermal paste off. This is pre-selected stuff. It actually feels pretty good, but sometimes it sits in a factory a little too long, and I don't like it. So I always replace this pre-applied stuff with Thermal Grizzly, so I know for sure that stuff is fresh and it'll last a long time. And it really helps with the temps. Really no need to put alcohol on this. It's coming off very nicely, actually. So we're good there. Nice, clean copper block. Then I got some thermal paste on my gloves. Another reason why I wear gloves, if you get thermal paste on your glove and then you go touch another part, you're going to get thermal paste everywhere and it looks like crap. So, time to swap this glove. Yeah, when you first messaged me, I'm like, when was that we built that? Like, I couldn't recall. I had to go look it up. So I appreciate you following back up and checking us out again for a second time. It's been a while since we built that one. The other one. Okay. There's a mounting kit for AMD. We're gonna need this guy. We gotta put the brackets on there. Then we also have to put the studs on the back plate on the socket. So we're just going to pull these plastic AMD stock brackets off, and we're going to put the metal studs in for the deep cool mount. And that's just these guys. One end screws into the actual block and the other one screws into the or holds down the CPU block to the CPU with a thumb screw. But we do these two at a time. That way we don't lose the back plate on the back side of the motherboard, because if we unscrew these all at once, the back plate will drop off and then disappear, and then you'll have a fun time trying to get the plate held there while you're trying to screw these in. Just a tip, if you're ever building AMD and you need to swap this out, just do two at a time, then you don't have to deal with it. Or you could do this before you put the motherboard in the case. That's another option. Have it lay flat on the table. That's another option. Either one works. we go. Now let's get the brackets here on the CPU block itself. And that's just held on with 2 screws to the bracket here. For each bracket, there's one more bracket the other side that we're gonna add here. Make sure they're tight, but not too tight. This is where you start, falling asleep. Do we already need to buy more? Wow. Gotta order more Thermal Grizzly. We got more than enough for like 4 more computers, but sometimes this stuff could take a minute to get here. How did I get more? Let's be on the tube. So we're just going to do a nice X pattern of the Thermal Grizzly thermal paste. And this is what transfers the heat off the CPU and onto the copper of the AIO CPU block. Helps transfer that heat. And the more effective that is, the quicker it transfers that heat off of that CPU and onto the copper, which then is directly touching the water on the other side, or there's fins in there probably, and that is what's cooling it. But now we're ready to just drop this into place here, mashing that thermal paste down a little bit, and then we could start with the thumb screws, which are going to go on these studs. And just reach around and hold it on the back side a little bit, just so we can get it started. And there's 4 of these thumb screws that we need to add. There's 3 and 4. Nice. And then we're going to use a screwdriver to finish these off. Tighten them down a little bit. All right, there we go. The next thing we're going to do is just quickly deal with these 2 cables here, and then we're also going to deal with the fan cables as well. We'll get those out of the way. Because this one has to be routed through this hole here what we're going to do here is pop this screw. And actually the second screw. And we're going to slide these under there, under the board. That way they're tucked away and hidden. Especially in a white base, black cables like this stand out really bad. So I like to try to hide these the best I can. This is one tip I could say that really works in this case. Especially for this situation. Now, where's the pump? Oh gosh. So the pump is actually all the way over here, which is interesting because we got something else up here, which is CPU option. So technically, I want this one routed this way. I knew that. I don't know how I want to do this. Just down and around. I did the right cable. Alright, and then this one will do kind of what we were just talking about. Sorry if you're just looking at my neck. Hey, Divinity, I recognize that case. What are we talking about for this one, big man? So this one, give me the specs. So this one is a Ryzen 5 5600X, 32 gigabytes of DDR4, 3200 megahertz, CL16. That's the white T-Force Delta, similar to I think what we want with your build. This is the Asus X570 Tough Gaming Pro Wi-Fi, and we're going with the 1 terabyte M.2 by Western Digital. It's a Western Digital Black SN770 1 terabyte PCIe 4. And we're also doing the Deepcool 360EX, so it's a 360 millimeter AIO with Deepcool fans. These ones are white. These ones are actually released after I built your build, unfortunately. Or I would have probably used these ones because they literally just got released. These are new. And there's a lot less cable management in these because you could daisy chain them, so it's a lot nicer, easier for me, for the builder. And it just looks cleaner when you're done with it on the backside. And then, so the 3060 Ti, we got a 1000 watt power supply, and that's mostly for the upgradability, so he can always upgrade whenever he wants to. He doesn't have to replace a power supply. He can go all the way up to a 3090 if you wanted to, a 3090 Ti even, without having to swap out a single part. So that's the idea of these builds here that we're doing. This one you can actually order directly on the website, Cookie Cutter, or it's the flagship select on the website. You can go directly to the website, and if you want this exact build, you can order it. But I know you already have a build, Divinity, because I built it. What? 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 No. What? No. So I set down some cables over here, got distracted by something, and now I don't know where I put them. Up here, there. Found them. So that's what we're building with today, my bud. My man. So how is your build doing? Everything running good? Solid? I mean, I know I don't have to ask, because if something wasn't right, I'd be the first to know. Got a lot of experience there, so I know how that is. So here's our PWM fan connection for our 3 fans here at the top. This is going to go on the CPU header. And once again, we're going to try to tuck this away, even though this is a white cable, which is nice. Something I will say that people gets a bonus on. Having white cables with their white fans. That's a bonus. And then we have our addressable RGB connection, which is going to connect here on the motherboard. Trying to think of how I want this to connect. We need this to loop back. There we go. Okay, we got all our fan connections up here plugged in. I'm going to just put these 2 screws back in here at the top of the motherboard, so we don't forget to put those back in later. We can see we have some nice tidy cables. You probably barely see them, which is what we want. We want a nice clean build, nice and pretty. So the next thing we're going to do here is get the front panel stuff connected, so that way when we plug those fans in on the bottom, they're not in our way. So we're just going to flip it over, go to the back side, and get these cables fed where they need to go. This is going to be our USB-C connection. That's going to go there. Then we have our front panel HD audio here. This is going to go at the bottom because it's going to be generally always in the bottom left corner of the motherboard. And then our front panel power LEDs for activity on the hard drive and whatnot. It's usually in the bottom right side of the motherboard. And then our USB 3.0, which is this big fat one. This generally is on the bottom or the side of the motherboard. I'm going to double check. It's on the bottom. So we're going to run that towards the bottom as well. Nice. All right, so let's get these plugged in, and then we can start doing the fans, case fans. The most exciting part of the build probably is the case fans. But everybody else tells me the most exciting part is when we have it all done and we power it on for the first time. I don't know why you guys find that more exciting than doing fans. Maybe it's just me. So I think we should have just plug it directly in. This is probably a tedious moment. I would say reference your motherboard manual if you don't have a motherboard manual, because some of them are now electronic. Go to your motherboard support website, look up your model, and pull the manual from there. You can just pull it up on your phone. This is the USB-C connection, but that's for your front panel power buttons and whatnot. Very easy. You just have to look at it and verify which direction things are laid out here. I'm sorry you couldn't see that because of the Empower logo at the bottom of that, but it's down here that we're working. We got our USB 3.0, we got our HD audio for our front panel, and then we have our power buttons, hard drive LED activity lights, and our reset if the case has a reset. This one does not, but that would all be located here. And then we have our USB-C, which is right here. And USB-C is the one that is generally on phones now for charging phones, but it's this little round looking USB connection on the front here. It has a unique connection because of the fast charging capabilities and the fast data speeds. That needs a little bit more power, different type of connection style. Alright, so we're ready to do these fans. We got 2 boxes of 3, total of 6. These are the FC120s. They're white. Addressable RGB, also PWM. Just like they're the same exact ones here. We want that always matching the best we can. We don't want to mismatch fans in a build unless we're intentionally doing that by design. But we try not to do that. I don't even remember the last time I did that. Unless it was, hey, I'm just going to sandwich these ones in here. Nobody's ever going to see them anyway. They're just there to run. Then sure. But if they're going to be seen and they're going to affect the aesthetics, don't mismatch them. That's my advice. I'm just opening up the fans, getting the screws out so I can easily mount these without having to go back and forth a million times. Mount all 3 of these at the bottom. And then we're going to mount 3 more on the side. The fans on the bottom we're going to configure for intake. So it's going to pull air from the bottom of the case and bring cool air literally right into the graphics card, which is going to be right here. The cool air is going to be coming from here. So cool air is literally going right to the graphics card, which is going to be nice. It'll help keep those thermals down on the graphics card. And then we're also going to have intake on the side, so cool air is going to get sucked right up here into the exhaust, which is our radiator. And our cool air is just going to be drawn right to the radiator. Now, once it gets past the graphics card here, it is going to be a mixture of warm and cool air, but we're going to have enough cool air on the side and underneath that it's not going to really impact the temperatures, if any, on the radiator. That's what we want. And the pressure on these fans are pretty good. The volume of air that these things can move is nice. If you want to max these out and really push some air, you can. You can definitely do that if you need to. Alright, so as I was saying, these are daisy chained. See if I can hold them. You can see that they are just simply plugged into one another. And then we have our, I guess, end fan, which is going to go to the actual connections to PWM and the motherboard addressable RGB. Very nice. And then we'll just screw these in and then move on to the next set of fans. Very easy, very clean with the cable management, I'd say. Probably some of the best outside of the Deepcool fans that I've dealt with. They're probably some of the best for cable management. Again, outside of the Deepcool fans. I'm gonna have to adjust this USB 3.0 connection because it's slightly in the way. Kind of in the way, but how to tell you this, but it's not going to work like that. Sure. I don't know, I don't like this at all. There we go. We're just gonna have to finagle that a little bit. There we go. Alright, now we're gonna screw these in. Then move on to the next three. Might help if I get lined up right here. You can kind of see what I'm doing. This is where you run out of things to talk about because you're trying to screw a bunch of screws in. Talking about screws. I'm just kidding, it's not a sponsor video. But I did get a screw in my tire yesterday and that kind of sucked. Got stranded in a parking lot and had to change to my spare. Because you pay for insurance and you have the roadside assistance, but then you realize it's going to take them 4 hours to even get to you. So why bother? You can do it in 15 minutes anyway. I had to change to my spare and ride on a donut for about an hour on the freeway until I got home. Pull the screw out, replace it with a plug. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, but I would suggest, if anybody has that happen to them a lot, carry a patch around. So as soon as you catch it with air in your tire, you can just really quick patch it, and at least get somewhere without having to put a spare on there. Plug it, patch it, whatever. Pair of pliers and a patch kit, you're good to go. Highly suggest having that in your car. I used to have it in my car, and I was so mad at myself because I didn't. It wouldn't have mattered in my case anyway, because by the time I figured out I had a flat, it was I was in an office and I came back out and I was like, oh, I have a flat. It's flat beyond repair. That sucked. It added on an extra 20 minutes that I didn't expect yesterday. I always leave Doc on my calendar, which is called God Only Knows. I usually try to add that to my day every day somewhere. Because literally God only knows what's going to happen next. Could be a flat tire. Could be anything. Okay, so moving on to the next set of fans, I'm going to flip it over and do it this way so I can get to the fans easier here. But we got another box of FC120s. Same thing. Rinse, wash, repeat. That'll be all the fans after this. Yay! Did anybody catch the new intro I had for the stream? If you didn't, slightly saddened. If you did, what did you think? All right, same fans again. They're going to be intake. We just need to make sure we're setting those up as intake. How did I do this last time in this case? I think I put this one at the bottom. Sounds like they're playing Super Smash Brothers now. Actually, a little bit jealous. Alright, so we're just going to mount these one by one on the side here, all for intake once again. Start with the bottom one. Oh, I'm really looking forward to a very nice, relaxing camping trip here soon in the summer. Anybody else camping this year? Going to find a nice, peaceful spot to shut off your phone and open a beer? Don't worry, guys. I don't actually shut my phone off. I'm in IT. My phone never is allowed to shut off. It rings day or night, rain or shine. Hey, Dev, Mr. Duck. How's it going, Mr. Duck? How are you tonight? Mr. Duck, thank you for following. I appreciate you, sir. We try to do, 1 or 2 streams a week here until we get a little bit more help, because I can't go at a snail's pace all the time. But usually when I'm streaming, I chat with everybody, and kind of just slows me down a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal. I like it. I like hanging out with people. Mr. Duck, please refrain from posting links. I don't know what link you were trying to send. Parts picker? That's fine. I don't know why that's actually catching that. I think I allowed that. I'm chilling, picking out some PC parts on PC Part Picker. Nice. Do you need any help picking them out, or anything specific you need help looking for, trying to find? I could maybe help give you some recommendations. Good stuff. And Captain Shadowbeard, thank you for the follow as well. I appreciate you, sir. Okay. So we got this bad boy. Starting to look like it's starting to look like a computer, I'd say. We got our fans installed here. The bottom and the side, we got a radiator installed, motherboard with our CPU, our SSD, our RAM. We got the majority of our cables plugged in here. I do have a few more sets of cables I'll need to plug in, which I'm going to do right now so I don't forget later and then hate myself. This one I probably should have done much earlier. But it's okay. Why we have surgical pliers. I don't know if you want to see what I have so far. Sure. You can actually, if you want to, just message it to me on Twitch or whisper it to me. Or you could send, you know what, you should be able to send the link right here. I don't know why it was catching PC part picker. You can send it on our Facebook page or on the Twitch. You can whisper it to me or whatever. You can actually text our business number as well if you wanted to. Listed on the website or the Google web or Google listing for our business. Or you can send an email to support@empoweredgamingpcs.com. Whichever, and I could go through the list right here if you'd like. Alright, I got those installed. Awesome. I think next we want to just start getting these cables out of the way. And get the graphics card in here. And then we're literally just installing a power supply, slapping the rest of it together and moving on. Hey Thomas, how's it going? What's up, man? How you doing tonight? We're just over here slapping together another PC for Mr. Cameron over here. He's actually a local customer, return local customer as well, so he's getting a quite the upgrade. Pretty good. How am I doing? I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain, man. It's Thirsty Thursday. The girls are behind me playing the GameCube, playing Super Smash Bros. And I'm over here building the computer, doing what I love. Can't complain. You know? It's Thursday, one more day to the weekend. I think life's good, right? I'm just looking for these cable combs because I got a question for Cameron. Cameron, I don't know if you could see the color difference in these. Let me pull one of them out. These are the cable combs that we're going to place on the cables for you, for your cables. One is a transparent kind of gray-black look to it. I guess that's the best way to describe it, like a rustic look. The others are just straight up black. Personally, I think black would look best with these, but these are the two options that they sent us, or that I have available for these. I might have some white ones if I dig them out, or at least transparent, if you want to go with transparent. Here, let me get them out. Two of each, or one of each. Try and show you the difference. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it or not. Probably not, because they're so close. The one on the right, or I'm sorry, the left here, that is your rustic look to transparent plastic, and then we have a black plastic. This is the one I would probably go with. It just blends with the build a lot better. I'm enjoying every second of this. I can't wait. Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, which cable comb do you think you want? Like a transparent or a solid black? I can't wait to build my own PC. For sure, man. Just let me know when you sent that list, because I'll go over there and check. Pull it up on my phone. Because I don't have keyboard and mouse right here where I'm at. Black, please. I agree with you, sir. We're going with black. So we got a whole bag of these cable combs. If we ever upgrade, you'll have all the cable combs you ever need for your build. We're not going to use all of these for this build straight up right now. And cable combs, if you're not familiar with them, just kind of add the wires into the cable comb. It really helps keep the form, the neat form that you see on builds. Keeps those cables nice and clean and tight. Sent it on Twitch. Alright, hold on, let me go pull that up here after I finish this one. Yeah, the black looks pretty neat. We're going to do probably 2 or 3 here on the 24 pin. 3 probably. And then we'll get the CPU, the 8 pins on that. And then the graphics card, which has, I think, an 8 pin and a 6 pin on the 3060 Ti. Or it might be 2 8 pins, I don't remember. The Asus TUF gaming series for the 3060 Ti that we have here today. It's going to blend very nicely with this Asus TUF X570 motherboard that we're running with the RX or the Ryzen 5 5600X processor. 32 gigs of RAM today with a 1TB M.2 NVMe PCIe Gen 4. So super fast storage, super fast processor, a very nice graphics card which will allow 1080p, 1440p gameplay, and in some cases you could probably do 4K and get away with a little bit of that, but I'd probably recommend staying around 2K, 1440p at the max, plus you lower some of the settings, of course. But yeah, cable combs are nice. They're just a little bit of time-consuming portion of the build. Some of the cheaper cables you can buy will have the cable combs installed already, but they're not as nice, I'd say. They're a little bit flimsy because they have to be able to move, and they don't want you to move it and wreck a wire, etc. But they make them very mobile. They're kind of flimsy. I have to buy custom cables from CableMod. Nice. Yep, I do that too. The problem with ordering custom cables from CableMod is how long they actually take to get to you. I mean, I've had builds sitting here for weeks waiting on cables from CableMod, and eventually I just told the guy, I'm like, look, if you want me to get this done, you know, this week, like we originally planned, we're gonna have to go with a different type of cable or cable color or something that I can get. But that's the only tough thing with custom cables from CableMod, is they take forever to get to you. But I mean, they're well worth it. Trust me, they're well worth the wait. They are nice. These are cable extensions that we're using. I mean, really the only reason why you're using CableMod or you know, other cables is for aesthetics. You're not getting any performance gain. There is no difference between the gauge wire in this set or the CableMod set. It's the same exact thing, and you really don't see the stuff on the back side anyway, unless you're, you know, a super computer enthusiast. Then we'll do CableMod, you know, or something like that. But is it worth the extra $40 or $50 for full-length cables directly to the power supply? Not really. Not unless you got glass on the backside like a Leon Lee Mesh 205. So I've always just said save a few bucks, just use the extensions, and you're not losing any performance. All right, let me go look at the list that you sent, and we'll run through that here. Okay, so I got the list here. Just gonna pull it up on my phone. So it looks like we're going with an Intel i9 12900K. That is a wonderful processor, I'd say. Definitely high end. The NZXT Kraken, the Z73 RGB for the AIO, and that's a liquid AIO cooler, 360 millimeters, so should be good with the 12900K. I do know that the 12900K does like to run hot, so make sure you adjust that fan curve accordingly so you can keep that airflow moving. We're going to be doing we're going to be building this on the Asus ROG Maximus, and that's the Z690 Formula LGA 1700. Now, is this the DDR4 or DDR5? It looks like DDR5 because you have DDR5 memory here. One thing I will say, building with this pretty close to the same build out here, on the Asus board, we actually had multiple Asus boards with DDR5 not recognize 2 of the sticks when you're running 4 sticks of DDR5. And if you look this up on the internet, on Google, it is a very common problem right now with DDR5 when you're running 4 sticks, filling all 4 slots. I would honestly recommend right now, if you need 64 gigs, to go with 2 32 gig sticks and only fill out 2 slots. Not only will that open up, for later down the road when they have a BIOS update, to eventually correct that problem, because I'm assuming it's a BIOS issue with some of the boards. And it was on the Asus ROG Maximus. I don't think it was. It was this board. It was actually this board that we were building in too. So that would be my first recommendation, is to go with 2 32 gig sticks for 64 gig, and that way if you ever need to upgrade later as well, you got 2 open slots. It's not going to be that big of a price difference, I don't think, and you're going to avoid that issue. I don't know. I'm just worried that you're going to buy both of these sticks, or both of these sets, fill all 4 slots out, and then you're going to have the same issue that this guy had, that he was building his own computer, did the same exact thing, ended up bringing it over to me because he couldn't get it to post, and ended up being 2 sticks in the 2 second slots, or the second channel, just wouldn't post. And we put them in the first channel just to test to see if they're good, and they would post just fine, and we ran mem test on it, and it worked fine. It's kind of weird. But hey, Tuna TV, what's up, man? How's it going? How you doing tonight? We're just walking through a PC parts picker list by Mr. Duck. He's looking to build his computer, so I'm just kind of reading through his list here, just to see what we can improve for him, or if we can suggest anything for him. So he's just looking for a little bit of advice. Looks like we got 2 terabyte hard drives. Do you know what you're going to use the hard drives for, Mr. Duck? Chillin' Man, Tuna TV from Twitch. Chillin' Man, excited to get one of these built in the fall when the new stuff drops. Hell yeah. Yeah, we got NVIDIA dropping here, and I think AMD also dropping a new CPU, so there's a lot of stuff lined up. Let's see if they actually drop on time. I feel like there's going to be delays, especially with the shortages continuing, although if you walk into a store, it doesn't look like a shortage right now, but there is actually still a shortage on the manufacturing side. Aha! Dan from Mern's chat. Is that who that is? Storing my games. Okay, so I was gonna suggest, because honestly, I don't even build a computer with a hard drive unless it's a special request. Hard drives are so slow that, so the hard drive speed, this is going to be when you, for example, if you install PUBG on the hard drive or Call of Duty on the hard drive, you launch the game and then you're sitting there waiting, That wait time is because it's on a hard drive. The write speed or the read speed, you send it from the hard drive to your RAM through the CPU to get processed and loaded up and ran, is super slow compared to an SSD, which is pretty much instantaneous. So if you want to eliminate that read time of just sitting there twiddling your thumbs, waiting for the game to load, hey, come on, and then your buddies are, from the lobby to the actual map in Call of Duty as an example, you're still sitting at a black screen while they're in the helicopter choosing a place on the map. That's the experience you're going to get when you use a hard drive. You'll be sitting at a black screen waiting for things to load in. So I would highly suggest, if it's for programs, to use a solid state drive. Programs being games, applications, anything that's related to functionality. If it's just storage, like storing a picture, stuff you really don't even care about anyway, but you need to store it somewhere, the hard drive, but I would also make sure you have a copy of it. Then you can use a hard drive for that. That's my recommendation generally. But I see here you have plenty of storage. I mean, honestly, you've got 4 terabytes in hard drives, and then another 2 terabyte M.2s. Are these PCIe Gen 4s? I would assume so. At $519 a piece. They better be. These are the Samsung 980 Pros, which are pretty quick drives. And there's 2 terabytes here on that list. Video card is the RTX 3090. For $2,400, you may as well just go to a 3090 Ti. You can find it in white. That would be my only suggestion. Why stop there? Leon Leo 11 Dynamic Evo. I'll tell you what, I absolutely love that case. It's probably my absolute favorite case to build in. So, because there's so many different things you could do with that Evo case. Okay. I already put my name on that 480. Oh, nice. That's from Tuna. LOL. 1 terabyte M.2 and 1 to 2 terabyte SSD should be money. Yeah, for sure. I mean, games are big, and I get that. And I kind of see what you're doing, Mr. Duck. You don't want to have to go back and add more storage later. You just want to have, free reign on it, which is fine. I didn't see the 2 SSDs until I scrolled down a little bit more. So, having the extra storage, I mean, for, what is it, $45 a drive for 2 terabytes, throwing 2 of those in there. I mean, may as well. And then we're going to be rocking the Corsair iQOO CL120s. And then it looks like we have 3 3-packs. And then additional 2. What is the additional 2 for? 1 for the rear? Or are you flipping the case in a specific way? Layout? I know you can flip this case around and do some pretty crazy things with it. Or is that because they only come in a 2-pack and you can't get a single fan? That's probably what it is. But okay. I'd say that's a pretty solid build, man. Other than the RAM that I would be concerned about, just make sure you can send it back if it doesn't work. If you do go that route, just make sure you have a return policy. That's all I would suggest. That way you're not stuck with 2 32 gig sticks for like 2 months until they release a new BIOS update that resolves the problem. I'm flipping the motherboard, so okay, so it's gonna be upside down, inverted. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I love that case, is because you could do that. The GPU is going on top. Okay. GPU top, motherboard bottom. Have no idea where that just came from. Nice. Okay. Well, we're going to get back to this build. We were doing the cables here. But I'd say your build is definitely a top tier build. and I would expect nothing less other than full performance from that thing. I'm not, I'm not a Corsair guy. I'll build with Corsair. I don't have a problem with it. If somebody wants it, we'll go Corsair for the eye candy. I just have a problem paying what you pay for Corsair, and I'll give them that their software is getting better lately. The IQ software, it is getting better, but before it was super clunky. Do you do any overclocking or anything prior to shipment? So we can do it. Normally I don't, depending on what games you're playing. So for example, if it's Call of Duty Warzone, I'm going to straight up say don't overclock for that game. That game becomes super unstable when you're overclocking, and actually sometimes has a negative impact on your performance when you overclock. So if you want crashing games with Call of Duty Warzone, feel free to overclock, but I'm not going to be the one doing that. I refuse to give you a product that could crash. But overall, what I will do though is go through the power, most of the basic stuff, which is making sure the power is set correctly to the machine. The XMP profile is set for the RAM. Just all the basic modifications you would do to Windows, things like that. But yes, it is slightly configured, modified for gaming, I would say. The right way to put it. But I'm not overclocking, so I'm not intentionally sending more power to your hardware to get more performance. Simply because 9 times out of 10, the reason why you're buying a computer is to play Call of Duty Warzone. And that has had overclocking, just doesn't work out with it. At least it hasn't yet. Maybe things have changed since the last time I looked, but last time I looked, still didn't work. I still to this day refuse to overclock for Call of Duty Warzone. I remember the day when Call of Duty was first released, Warzone, and I had so many people calling me, telling me their computers were blue screening, or the game was crashing, or this and that. And most of them weren't even my builds. They were just people that were getting frustrated with their build because it was just crashing. I'm like, disable your overclock. And guess what? All the problems went away. I'm like, if you have an overclock, go in there, remove it, go back to stock and see how it plays. It was fine after that. Yeah, I get it. I've got 4K 144 Hz monitor ready to go for the next build. Awesome. I more so play RPGs, and if it is a VR, all I care about is getting about 120 steady. Yeah, in 4K you should be able to get that, especially with like a 3080 Ti and up, or even an RX 6800, 6900 XT. The games are getting way too big. Yes, I agree with you, Mr. Duck. The games are getting out of hand. But it's all because of the texture size and the level of detail going into the textures and models and whatnot. They're only going to keep getting bigger. Alright, sir. Here is our RTX 3060 Ti. The beast of a card as it is. It's got a huge heatsink on it with 3 terrific fans. Moves a lot of air on it. Or off of it, should I say. Let's go ahead and peel this. And if anybody's wondering, this is the Asus TUF Gaming Edition 3060 Ti. 3 fan. We got the Asus TUF Gaming theme going on inside the build itself. I try to generally match the video card with the motherboard because of aesthetics, right? It just looks way cleaner. when you do that. And then it's also easier to manage any addressable RGB on there using the motherboard software because it syncs right up. And just life is so much easier when you do that. Then, yeah, it just looks better. Okay, we're gonna slap this card in there. I've already pulled out the 2 screws. Since you're picking this up locally, we're not going to pull this card out. It's freaking beautiful. I know, isn't it? I'm peeling it. Wish you could be here to enjoy the peels. But we're not going to be pulling the card out. Meaning, if we were shipping it, we'd pull this card out and ship it with the card uninstalled. So you would have to go through and do the installation process if we shipped it. And I think there's a peel off on this metal plate now that I'm looking at it. Or am I crazy? Anybody else peeled a peel off on a Tough Gaming? I'll look at it later. I'm just going to line it up to the slot, and then it just slots in beautifully. And then we got 2 screws that hold it in. Hey, Callum B, what's up, man? How's it going over on YouTube? Checking in from YouTube, man. What's up? Oh, there's only one connection. I thought this thing had 2. Yeah, we're just getting ready to wrap this bad boy up. We're almost done here. Good evening. So if you want to stick around for a little bit, you can see it light up for the first time. First breath of light. I mean, I guess with the RGB it could be light. First light show. What did I do? We just got a couple of cables to plug in, a power supply, and then we're firing this bad boy up. Would you say the Ryzen 9 5900 or 5950X is worth the upgrade from a 5900? No. I would honestly think, is it worth it? No. And the reason why I say that is because AMD's planning their new releases here soon anyway. I mean, I don't see a scenario where the performance benefits between the two is going to be worth it when you could just wait and then just upgrade to their next release here soon anyway. It just doesn't make sense to do that unless you absolutely need that small percentage gain, which would be a unique situation that I'm just not not aware of. But I would say no, it's not worth it. It'd be a kind of a waste of money in my opinion. If you're going to do that, you should have done it in the beginning and went with the 5950X. But at this point, it's not worth it. Not unless you could flip it and sell it for the same price as the 5950. I mean, maybe then it's worth it. But I don't think you can with the prices and the availability. They're pretty much available everywhere. Okay. So what do you think, man? shift? What do you think? Is it starting to look like a computer or what? Plugging in these fan cables real quick here, and then I can get this power supply added real quick. And then we're firing this bad boy up. We're nearly there, sir. Oops. That's go through there, actually. Every bit of it is what I hoped for and more. Truly a wonderful job. Thank you, sir. All right, here's our 1000 watt Supernova, 80 plus gold, fully modular, beast of a power supply. This way, any upgrade you do in the future, this thing will handle it. All the way up to a 3090, 3090 Ti even. So you can pretty much upgrade anything you want in this computer without having to swap out your power supply. That is something we look at with any of our builds, is making sure you can maximize it with simple upgrades without having to do a ton of work, because we want to do the work for you. And we do it right. This way, we're using a quality power supply, not a piece of shit. This thing's got, I think, a 10-year warranty on it. UBJ directly. Beautiful. I mean, you smell the new power supply smell. I don't know if you guys ever smelled that before, but it's like a new car smell, but it's quality. Quality power supply. Come on. Open up, sir. Sure. Fine. Beast. I'm just going to set that there as we get our modular cables, or all of these guys, sorted, because we're just going to use a couple of them here. Not going to use nearly all of them at all. I'm actually going to get these plugged in before I install the power supply, because I'm that guy. I'm that guy. I don't mind being that guy, personally. Oh, this is right. Am I crazy or what? No, I'm right. I don't understand what I'm... Good. Okay. And our VGA PCIe. Just a side note. If you are building with a graphics card that has more than one PCIe port on it, do not use the daisy chain. Always use a separate cable. I'll show you what I mean. This here is a pigtail daisy chain with PCIe on it. So it looks like you could plug this into 2 ports on a graphics card with 1 cable, right? Don't use this. This is only going to drive the same amount of power and then split that same amount of power for each connection. So you're actually underpowering your card by doing this, and it can actually cause problems with your card. Or if the cables aren't rated for a high enough electricity or voltage or whatever that's running through these, you can actually melt these cables. So always, I don't know why manufacturers ship them with the pigtail like this. This is probably the stupidest thing I've ever seen from a manufacturer shipping these. And I don't know why they still ship them, even though these reviews have been out about this for a long time. But it's best to use 2 separate cables, 1 for each connection. So do that. Save yourself the trouble in the future. But I like to throw that in here in these videos or these streams because you builders pop in and out of here and watch and need some tips. That's one very valuable tip I would recommend hanging on to. Okay. The other thing is when you're installing your power supply, you can see that I'm installing the fan face up in this case because we have ventilation on this side panel that goes right here. This is all vented. Don't ever put your power supply facing a flat piece of metal where it's going to be suffocated. This is drawing air into the power supply and then pushing the air out the back. If you put it up against a piece of metal, you are suffocating your power supply and it has no way to breathe and no way to cool. That is another big no-no, and you will eventually have a burnt out power supply from heat. And that will suck, because some of them are not cheap. AKA the Verge. You ever watch that build? That's what not to do. I feel bad for the dude. I knew how he had limited time to prep for that video. Feel bad for him. But don't do that. Always allow your power supply to breathe. Most standard ATX cases, you'll put the power supply facing down at the bottom because there's ventilation on the bottom of the case. Always look at that and just double check. It's easy to do and save yourself some cost later down the road. Oh, come on, I just need one more screw. There it is. Making sure we use black screws. This one was shipped with silver screws. I wanted to make sure we use black for the aesthetics, even on the back. Okay. Now, I just want to make sure I get these plugged in. Because we got a pretty crazy chain going up here. Crazy train. Alright. Almost there, guys. Almost there, I promise. We're literally there. We're close to it. I'm going to do the zip tie full cable cleanup here on the back for you after the stream. That just is a lot of extra time that I spent on it. And it's getting pretty late for me, so this is not going to be the end result on the backside. As you probably already know from our previous build, we don't leave cables crazy like. But for the sake of the stream and to get it fired up so you can see what it looks like on the front side, we're just gonna get through this and we'll come back to it before I package it up and tell you it's ready to go to finish off the cable management. Again, this is not the end result here of your cables on the backside. This is just me trying to plow through it. We can get it lit up and show you all what it looks like. Want to make sure those cables are not in the fans. Good. But you can see the power supply has ventilation here with this panel. Very nice. The reason why I'm putting that panel on there is so you can have the backdrop of the white when I flip this over and get ready to fire it up. There we go, that's a good view. Let's get it plugged in. Everybody ready to see this thing fire up? Shift, you ready for this, sir? See if I built it right. I'm just kidding. Oh, I see some lights glowing back there, man. Let's, sorry if I'm shaking the camera. Alright, who's ready for me to fire this bad boy up? You ready? Let's do it. Wait, just wait. Still posting. Still posting. It's an AMD processor, so it takes a while to post. There we go. We got the BIOS. And we posted. X570 with an Ryzen 5 5600X and 32 gigs of RAM checking in. Got a display, so we know the video card's at least functional, although I already tested that pre-stream. I tested on the test bench, so that's been tested. All 3 sets of the fans are checking in, the AL pump's checking in. It's running at 2400 RPM. Fans are actually running at the speeds that they should be, so they're getting read as PWM right off the bat, which is cool. So it must be an MSI thing with these fans, not an ASUS. But, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mr. Shift X's build. Pretty badass. White. The RGB just glows. I mean, look at the RGB off my hand. The light just reflecting off of it, off my face from here. It's like a campfire glow. All right, Mr. Shift, do you have any questions on this? Our next steps are to get Windows installed, do the drivers, do all the updates, that configuration process that we kind of talked about already, which is making sure we're setting the power, the XMP profile, updating the BIOS, all that stuff is all done. And then we'll also go through a battle tested phase, which we are going to run this machine to its limits to verify that the performance is cooling where it should be and performing where it should be under a load after a long period of time. It should be cooling and maintaining a certain level of performance. So that's what we're going to be targeting during our battle tested phase, which if you ever have any questions about our battle tested phase, you go on a website. From our website, there's a link to our battle tested. You read more about it. And then if you have any questions about it, you can always shoot us a message. But it's perfect, Biff says. Thank you. Awesome. No, you're welcome, man. Yeah, I'm excited to get this done. So we should have this done by the weekend here. This tomorrow's Friday. So for sure I should have it ready by Saturday for pickup. I don't know what day you're coming back into town, but if you need me to rush it, I could even get it done tomorrow if you need me to. I just need to know. Okay, it turned out great. We got the white that you asked for, so that's all filled in there nicely. And yeah, that's your build, man. Moving on to the next one. We got a couple of interesting builds coming up here. Smaller, but interesting. And I'm pretty excited to do. So maybe we'll be back on Sunday night, so probably Monday. Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have it ready by Monday then. Saturday I should have it ready, for sure. I can't wait. Thank you for taking the time to do this. No problem, man. No problem. My pleasure. I always like doing these build streams because people can pop in and learn more about us, and then also you get to see your build being built, and people can pop in and ask questions about builds, and I can share my knowledge. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody. So, I definitely don't mind streaming, so I try to stream most of them. But, you know, sometimes I'm lagging behind and I need to just power through a build, and I gotta do it off stream and just power through it. Captain Shadowbeard, you got my next build. Oh, that's awesome, man. Thank you. Whenever you're ready, man, just hit us up. You could shoot me a message on Twitch, on Twitter, on Facebook. You can email us. You can text me if you like. The number on the website is, you can text me from there. And you know where I'm at. If you look me up on Google, you can find me physically where I am right now. If you want to be creepy like that. I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. Just let me know when you're ready, and we can work out the build for you, man. All right, gentlemen or ladies that may be there. I'm going to end the stream here. I'll leave this up so you can, for your viewing pleasures, if you'd like to hang out and chat, and if anybody else wants to, that maybe checked in earlier in the stream and check in on it later, just to see how it ended up, I'll leave it up for a little bit. But I'm going to leave here. So you guys have a good rest of your night. Look forward to the next stream. Probably going to be in the week next week, probably another evening. These are the best times for me to stream, especially with my young daughter. She's asleep right now, so this is really a nice time to stream, so I can focus on the stream and not have to get interrupted. So, and then it's also after business hours, and I don't have to deal with phones ringing and all that crazy stuff. That also helps. But until the next stream, thank you everybody for jumping in, chatting it up. It's worth custom cooling a AMD Threadripper. Yes, absolutely. It is worth the custom water loop on a Threadripper because the Threadripper is a beast and it runs hot. You can get away with an AIO, though you're going to be running those fans pretty actively, depending on what you're doing. If you're doing a lot of 4K and 8K video editing, that thing's going to be cooking. But yeah, Threadripper, I would definitely consider a open loop for customer for the cooling. Yeah, dual radiator as well, probably, depending on which Threadripper it is. I guess it was what it would come down to. But assuming with what you have in mind, Mr. Duck, based off your last build that you sent me on PC Part Picker, I would say you're going in hot with the biggest Threadripper there is. So I'd say yes. But custom water cooling does come with an expense, huge expense. So especially if you don't want to do it, I can tell you right now, labor isn't cheap to hire somebody to do that. So it kind of comes down to what makes most sense. There's also maintenance involved with the custom loop, so if you're not interested in doing maintenance every 6 months or so to your loop, which is flushing it and adding new fluid, which is usually best because it will have a buildup around the fins, which is what transfers the heat off the copper on the heatsink, if it's a graphics card and the CPU, either one. It'll have a buildup around that, and then it'll start impacting the cooling. So if you don't, you'll need to flush it every 6 months or so. So there's maintenance involved with an open loop. I mean, you can try treating it and all that and making sure it's clean, but I mean, every loop I've done, it's every 6 months. I've seen buildup, even with treatment. So just keep that in mind when you're considering an open loop. There is going to be extra work involved. So it just depends on, is that the right fit? But yeah, you could probably do an AIO with it and get away with it. You're just going to have to make sure it's a high airflow case that can move air. Maybe some Noctua fans. You know, keep that air moving. That's really the goal if you're going to do a Threadripper and an AIO. But anyway, thanks for checking in, everybody. I appreciate you, everybody that came in, liked the stream. If you want to share the stream, go ahead. It's how we grow. Sharing it, telling your friends. If you know anybody that needs a gaming computer or has an interest in building one or needs help, we do one-on-one build sessions. If you need some help building one, we could do it remotely as well, where we jump on a camera and we walk through it together. Or you could bring it here if you're local. We could build it here together, one-on-one, and happy to help. So, anybody looking for a build, send it my way. I appreciate it. All right, guys. Have a good night. Happy Thirsty Thursday and Cinco de Mayo. I know I said it wrong on purpose. Have a good night, guys.